A federal judge orders the Trump administration to temporarily reinstate USAID funding for foreign aid contracts as lawsuits continue. This as Elon Musk says he is working to eliminate not just jobs, but entire cabinet-level departments. It's all part of a flurry of activity in the first few weeks of the second President Trump term. Our Alex Cameron is in Oklahoma City and joins us now with what he's hearing from the Oklahoma delegation. Alex, thanks for taking a few minutes from OKC for us today.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure, Jonathan. It's good to be with you.
All right, so what's the overall feeling right now in Washington from the people that you talk to? It may just depend who you talk to, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously our delegation, all Republican delegation is supportive of what the president and the administration, the new administration, are trying to accomplish here. While some of them don't want to comment specifically on certain things yet, they say, for the most part, people need to not get too excited. People who are worried about what's going to happen to certain pieces of fundings, certain programs, not to be overly pessimistic at this point, and to let the dust settle, so to speak, because some things that may look like they're going to go away won't necessarily go away. I think that's the situation we're hearing about some of the funding, potentially the NIH funding that ends up at OU or OSU, or some of these aid programs that are out there, funding for education, things like that. It's really very early at these stages and hard to know exactly what's going to happen. And so I think that's the thing that I'm hearing most from our delegation is settle down. We know that this is all happening very fast, but let's see. I think that most of them are confident that in the end, the programs that really matter to Oklahomans aren't going to be impacted. But, there are certainly some Democrats who don't feel that's the case and who already have grave concerns about potential significant damage, significant cuts. The Republicans in the House yesterday released their blueprint for their big reconciliation package, and talking about making $1.5 to $2 trillion in cuts over the next 10 years. And the question is, where's that money going to come from? What programs are going to be cut? Talking about perhaps cuts to Medicaid, perhaps to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So there are people who do have real concerns, but our delegation is saying, hold the phone, let's just wait and see, because in the end, it may not be as dire as people think. Jonathan?
Alex, you've been covering a lot this past week or two about the cabinet nominees that are being confirmed. The big one, obviously, this week was RFK Jr. Are there any others that might be in danger of not being confirmed, or are most of them just a formality at this point, now that some of the more controversial ones have now been confirmed?
Yeah, I think the rest of the way, we're not going to see any big problems. I think there will certainly be opposition to Linda McMahon as Secretary of Education. Perhaps Lori Chavez DeRemer. Also, I don't think any of them are going to get absolutely 100% support. But I don't see anyone. I mean, if Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. Could get through, I don't think we're going to see any other cabinet nominees, derailed at this point. So yeah, the big ones, as you mentioned, RFK Jr. Yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard on Tuesday of this week. And, those were both very, very close votes. We did in each case see at least one Republican vote no, but, they have the three senator margin, so it was in the end they were able to get through. So it's been really an interesting thing. We really saw there were predictions that several of the nominations would get held up, and in the end it was just Matt Gaetz, the one nominee who's never even had any hearings, who withdrew voluntarily. And all the rest of the Trump nominees, it appears, are going to get through. Certainly, when you look at the Oklahoma delegation's participation, obviously Senator Langford, Senator Mullen, both been involved in some of the hearings. Senator Mullen has had a role that probably goes beyond that in terms of his support for some of these more controversial nominees and helping shepherd them through the whole process. So Oklahomans, the Oklahoma delegation has been very close to this whole procedure, and it does look like it's going to end up all going in President Trump's favor.
Matt Gaetz stuff seems like a long time ago. Stuff moves quick in Washington, doesn't it? There's also been a lot of talk
Yes,
about slashing the size of the federal government and the budget reconciliation. You talked about that a little bit. Where are we on the budget reconciliation? Is there any danger of a government shutdown as well?
Well, and those are really two separate issues at this point, Jonathan, and it is concerning because I think there are people, members of the Oklahoma delegation, Tom Cole in particular, who's probably not saying anything publicly, but I think he is pretty concerned from what I'm hearing that there's not enough focus on getting of beating this March 14th deadline for completing fiscal year 25 appropriations. That's going to have to be done with bipartisan support. And right now, the Democrats are pretty angry because they feel like the Republicans have completely disengaged with them in terms of their DOGE efforts and this reconciliation package they're putting together. So it's not clear how much support they're going to get from Democrats. Some have even talked about personally, hoping that there is some sort of a shutdown. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but that is on a separate track. The reconciliation package cleared two big hurdles this week. Both the House and Senate budget committees passed budget resolutions, which is an important first step in getting the whole reconciliation process started. It sort of is the blueprint for doing this ultimately one or two big bill package. And to be clear, the House is on a track where this would all be done with one big reconciliation package. The Senate is angling toward a two-bill package. We'll see where that eventually goes. Probably the House will end up taking primacy on this. But they cleared the step and said, here's what we're going to cut. We want to cut $1.5 to $2 trillion, and we want to be able to have $4.5 trillion for tax cuts. The question is, again, and the devil may be in the details here, how are they going to accomplish those cuts? And that's what we'll start to find out in the next few weeks.
All right, Alex Cameron in Oklahoma City today. Alex, thanks so much for taking a few minutes and safe travels back to D.C.
Thanks, Jonathan.